Hello chess friends and welcome to a lot of chess channel and welcome to a spectacular game from the Computer Chess Championship Classical Cup event that's going on now on chess.com. Actually, what's going on now in the AI chess world, we have now two cup events. One is covered by the TCEC website, but the others, as I mentioned, is this Classical Cup on chess.com. And I've sorted out what was, in my opinion, so far the most spectacular game from this event, with incredible tactics, again, by Stockfish 17 against the top engine Dragon. In my opinion, really a crazy tactical shot. Impossible to see for a human eye, I would say. Such a crazy, dirty, epic, spectacular line that Stockfish again calculated in an epic way. So put your seatbelts on and enjoy in so far the best game from this amazing chess event. And if you want to see some other games that we haven't covered here on my YouTube chess channel from this event, please use the comment section. I'll try to cover as much as we can of this amazing chess games, because many things are going on. Probably I'll miss some great games, so please suggest me like you did before. And I want to also thank you for your great suggestions in the past video. So let's see now this game with the white pieces. The fish open with the move d4. Dragon's response was knight to f6, bishop to f4, the London system, e6, knight to d2, preparing e4, bishop to e7, e4. We're going to move now this moves a little bit faster because these moves were pre-arranged by the organizer. Now d5 here by Dragon, e5, and now after knight from f to d7, the Dragon engine is of course preparing this breakthrough with c5, and then also maybe c4, b5, b4, putting more pressure on this side of the board. Bishop to d3, h6, c3, and now the last move that was prearranged by the organizer was now the move c5. And actually Stockfish defended this position against Dragon with the black pieces, so the Stockfish squeezed the draw out of this position. What's the actual issue about this position? This is sort of a French defense that we have now, but with many lost tempi, I think, here by Black. Black has already exposed himself with the move h6, has already weakened the structure. In many occasions, Black is not even casting immediately into White's attack, because we have to mention White has, of course, the space advantage on this side of the board. So White is, of course, attacking this side of the board. And now with the space advantage, with the endangered king position already, with an exposed king, without the defenders here, Black is already a tough time to defend his position. So as I said, Stockfish squeezed the draw somehow in this position with the black pieces. Stockfish continues with bishop to b1. Great idea with the threat of queen to c2 and then deliver checkmate on h7. We have now the move f5. Dragon locks out now the long diagonal, and now Stockfish continues with the plan. Of course, rook to g1, g4, trying to open again this diagonal and deliver checkmate. h5. Dragon is not allowing that, but Stockfish continues with h3. We have now rook to f7, protecting now the 7th rank. And you see now the issue here for White is a little bit that the bishop is loose. If, for instance, you play g4, then the bishop could be lost. But that's the beauty about this epic game. Stockfish simply doesn't care anymore for this bishop on f4. Stockfish goes for the plan and plays now the aggressive g4. I'm not sure how many of us would see this move. I'm not sure how many of us would even consider this move. Probably many of us would play somewhere with the bishop and then, of course, still prepare the move g4. But Stockfish hits immediately the flank with the move g4. Really wild stuff. F takes g4, h takes g4, rook takes f4, and now g takes h5. Now the g file is open, and the issue, as we said, is that the knight is so far still out of game. This bishop is not playing this, all of the pieces on the queen side are not participating in the game at all. So it's almost like Black is playing without these pieces. Now Stockfish has a clear attack and Black has a tough time to include new defenders into the game. And what should you do? Let's see now, for instance, if you try to make progress with knight to c6. This wasn't playing the game, but if you continue to develop pieces, which in many occasions is of course the normal chess that you should play, but so far it's not working because immediately h6 going to happen. Then you take, we can take, maybe you can take also this pawn, but now the position is simply collapsing here on the king side. There's nothing that can be done. Look at this, bishop to h7, for instance, in one line could happen. We'll simply open up now the h file. Look at this, we can even sacrifice the queen. I just wanted to show a really attractive line that could be possible now. After a couple more moves, Black would be even checkmate. Of course, White and Black don't have to play the game like this, but I think this is epic. Look at this. If you start to develop your pieces, it's simply too slow. Then h6 is breaking the position simply here on the king side. So that's why after g takes h5, here king to h8, played by Dragon, getting out of the g file mess. h6 by the fish anyway. Now we have g5, and now comes another stunner here by the fish. Although this pawn is covered now 2 times, Stockfish continues with another piece sacrifice on g5. Really crazy. After bishop to g5, queen to h5, the queen is now coming in a beautiful way into the game. Still, all of these pieces are not playing, so that's the issue. Dragon has now 2 pieces more, but has a tough time now to defend the king. We have now rook to h4, the only move here for Dragon, and now again a brilliant idea here by the fish, queen to f7, with the threat of queen to g7 checkmate, because if you start to trade off more pieces, then black is better. The game is simplified. Black can eventually defend his position. In this scenario, black is winning the game. White attack is splashed. There's nothing that can be done. White is simply down a piece. So that's why queen to f7, keeping the attacking flow. We have now queen to e7, and now queen takes e7, bishop to e7, but it's a different story now. It's a different trade. Now Stockfish plays the amazing h7 and has now the immediate checkmate threat on g8 here with the rook. Really epic tactical sequence, which forces now here black to take out now the pawn on h7, and after bishop to h7, now it's finally a good compensation for the lost for the 3 lost minor pieces here by the fish. Stockfish gave up now the 3 pieces for the rook, but still has a great activity after queenside castling, and now in some lines, if black is not careful enough, could be even checkmated by the heavy artillery by both of these rooks on the G and H file. Really epic attack here by the fish. Look at this. After bishop to f8, Stockfish clears now here the first rank. Once includes now this other rook into the game. Here Dragon has to cover. Stockfish attacks now the H file simply after a couple of trades of pawns, and knight to c6. Stockfish continues now with the plan. Rook to h1, and now finally here we have the attack against the bishop, and the bishop is lost. We have now king to g7, rook takes h6, knight takes d4, and now rook to h4, attacking now the knight. And look how crazy this tactical sequence is, that actually here Dragon has to give up another piece. That's the issue. Because if you try to escape with your knight now, with the knight to f5 or something, then rook to g4 is going to happen. And if you, for instance, try to escape with your king, then after a couple more moves, look at this, white will simply continue the pressure on the 8th rank. The lack of development is, of course, a situation that bothered black now through the whole game. And now, in one moment, this bishop is lost again. Much better position than for white. White would gain then the exchange, and has now, of course, I would say completely winning endgame here. So that's why after rook to h4 that Stockfish played, Dragon tried this idea. Knight to e5, Dragon is saying, okay, I will lose a piece anyway, but at least I again grab the pawn in the center of the board. Stockfish takes out now finally the knight on d4, and now after bishop to d7, f4, rook to c8, and now king to d1. And we have reached now a very interesting chess endgame in which Dragon has an extra pawn, but it's of course down the exchange, and so far black is holding the position. Let's see now how Stockfish is playing this endgame, because I think still this is a really instructive endgame. Stockfish will still have a tough time to attack this position. Dragon played also, I think, here a beautiful defensive game. Knight to f7, knight to f3, king to f7, rook to d2, and now rook to h7, including now the rook on the 7th rank. We have now bishop to e8, and now rook to h2. Rook to g4. Stockfish has to now bring the rook back into the game, because if you lose another pawn, especially this f4 pawn, if it's lost, then black would have 2 connected passers, which is then very dangerous. I would dare to say even a winning position then for black. We have now rook to g6, king to d2, a6, and now Stockfish is getting the king closer. Dragon attacks now the 3rd rank, counter attack here by the fish, and again a retreatment by the Dragon chess engine. Stockfish is forcing now the trades of rooks, and now after king to f5, now a good move, knight to d4, and this move I think liberates a little bit white here. With this move, Stockfish has now better chances in the game, because the issue is you cannot play king to e4. Black would love to do that, to bring the king closer to the center of the board, because in an endgame, the king is supposed to play. The king is not something that you should protect. In an endgame, you would love to bring your well piece now into the attack, but it's not working because of f5, and now the rook is protecting, and then after something like this we can grab the pawn from white's perspective here, and again game over for black. So that's why for knight to d4 we have king to f6, and this is now a good setup for white because this pawn is controlling these two squares, so the king cannot have access here, and the knight is controlling this square. So now with this idea, Stockfish neutralized black's king, and now white's rook can play freely all over the board. Of course, still it's a tough battle, but now at least a simplified line now for white. Now white can of course also start to play actively with the king, maybe on dark squares, attacking these pawns. On the queen side, we have now king to f2, knight to d6. Stockfish now again attacks the 7th rank, a5 here by the Drang chess engine, and now Stockfish gets again the king closer to the center. Here we have a repetition. Stockfish doesn't see immediately the best solution here. Stockfish repeats moves, doesn't see really the optimal way how to make progress here. Drang again repeats. Stockfish plays now king to e2, bishop to f7, and now knight to f3. Now again Stockfish has to step back. We have now bishop to e8, and now finally the king is getting closer to the action towards the center. b6, knight to d4, again the setup not allowing black to have access to the f5 square. Rook to h1, bishop to d7, and now again Stockfish tries an attack on the 7th rank. Dragon covers now the 7th rank, and now slowly but surely Stockfish moves the king towards here the queen side. We have now knight to d6. Stockfish again attacks the 7th rank, and now finally the king is closer. Bishop to e8, rook to h2, bishop to d7, and now rook to h7. Again a couple of repetitions. So see, tough endgame here for the fish to handle. Rook to c1, knight to d6, and now finally Stockfish search for an opportunity on the other side. Now again the rook is on the 7th rank, but it's a different story now. The rook is much more active here because the bishop always cut off here the potential attack by the rook against this pawn on b6. We have now bishop to e8. Stockfish plays king to c3. Again a couple of checks here by the dragon. Stockfish centralizes the king to e7, and now rook to b7, and finally this pawn can be lost. Stockfish plays now knight to c6. Again another check, knight to e5. Stockfish is not rushing, and now finally rook takes b6, knight to c4 is of course an opportunity for black, but if that happens, Stockfish has now the great knight on e5 and will eventually trade off the knight and would reach then the fully endgame stage with a much better situation. So knight to f5, here we have king to d3, bishop to e8, knight to c6 check. Now again attack against this pawn. We have now knight to d6. Stockfish attacks now this pawn. Here dragon has to now defend his position, and now king to c2. Again this pawn is rolling, this pawn is lost, and suddenly Stockfish is letting here the pawn roll on the f-file, completely winning endgame here for white. Rook to h6, bishop to e8, knight to c6. Stockfish centralizes again the knight, pushes the pawn further, trade it off here, and now attack the knight. Now simply the pawn here on f7 is cleared. Of course the knight is attacked. Now knight has to step back. Stockfish pushes the pawn finally. Knight to f6, must move here by dragon in order to somehow keep the f8 square covered, but Stockfish simply traded off here and promoted the queen. Obviously it's not really game over here for black. After a couple more moves, Stockfish delivers here a checkmate on the c7 with the queen and king's activity. So great attack here by the fish. Really crazy stuff. This is really epic, going into this line with g4 and then sacrificing everything, and then knight to g5. You look at this crazy performance, giving up the rook, giving up 3 minor pieces for the rook, but this blocked position on the king side never really allowed black's pieces to get back into the game. Incredible performance again by the strongest chess engine in the world, by Stockfish 17. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of the Indian game, of the London system here by Stockfish. If you want to see some other beautiful sharp attacking chess like this, check out our Come to Chess Games Played by Computers. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.